The restaurant sat just a few blocks from Pike Place Market, close enough to hear distant street musicians when the weather was kind, but far enough to avoid the tourist rush. It wasn't fancy. Red vinyl booths, a counter with spinning stools. The smell of coffee permanently soaked into the walls. To most people, it was just another neighborhood diner. To Emily, it was a classroom. She pushed open the door at subah ke 7 baje, even though her shift didn't begin until 7:30. The cook, Marco, would already be flipping bacon. "Morning, Em," he'd mumble. She'd smile softly and nod. Emily wasn't known for long conversations. She spoke gently, almost apologetically. If customers raised their voices, she shrank a little. If coworkers joked loudly, she laughed quietly. But what no one noticed was what she did before the first customer walked in. She tied her apron neatly, set her small notebook on the counter, took out her phone, opened her ASL practice app. Then she began moving her hands. Slowly at first. "Good morning. How are you today? Coffee or tea? Take your time." Her fingers shaped the air with focus. Her brows lifted for emphasis. She practiced facial expressions, because sign language wasn't just hands, it was emotion. Years ago, her younger brother Noah had lost his hearing after a severe infection. Emily had been 13. She still remembered sitting beside him in the hospital in stunned silence. He tried to speak. No sound came. The world changed that week. At school, Noah struggled. Kids were impatient. Teachers were kind but untrained. Cashiers spoke to Emily instead of him. Doctors explained procedures without looking at his face. Emily watched frustration slowly replace her brother's laughter. So she made a decision. If the world wouldn't adjust easily, she would. She began watching online ASL videos late at night. She practiced fingerspelling under her blanket. She signed to her reflection in the mirror. What started as necessity slowly became routine. And routine became habit. By the time she started working at the diner at 22, signing was no longer something she tried to remember. It was part of her. That Wednesday afternoon, snow began drifting down from the Seattle sky. Not dramatic flakes, just steady, quiet snowfall that softened the sidewalks and made headlights glow. The lunch rush had ended. Only 3 tables were occupied. Emily wiped down a counter when the door chimed. She looked up. A tall man in a charcoal wool coat stepped inside, brushing snow from his shoulders. He carried himself with quiet authority, not flashy, not arrogant. Just composed. Behind him entered an older woman. Her posture was elegant but careful. Silver hair neatly pulled back. Navy coat buttoned high. Her eyes moved thoughtfully across the room, taking everything in. The manager hurried forward. "Good afternoon. Table for 2. The man nodded politely. Before they could follow him, the older woman lightly touched her son's sleeve and signed something. The manager blinked. He looked at the man. The man gave a small, patient smile. "My mother is deaf," he explained calmly. "I'll interpret." Emily felt something instinctive spark inside her. She stepped forward before she could overthink it. Her heart thumped. She hated drawing attention, but something stronger than shyness guided her. She met the older woman's eyes. Then signed. "Welcome. It's warm inside. Please follow me." The manager froze mid-step. Marco leaned out from the kitchen. A customer near the window lowered his newspaper. The older woman's face changed instantly. Surprise first, then relief. Her hands rose gracefully. "Your sign." Emily nodded gently. "Yes, I practice every day." The tall man stared at her, really stared, as if recalibrating his assumptions. Emily led them to a booth near the window. Snowflakes traced soft lines against the glass. She handed them menus, but instead of speaking to the son, she looked directly at the mother. "Would you like coffee or tea?" She signed. The woman smiled. "Coffee, black." The son slowly sat down, still processing what he was witnessing. During the meal, Emily explained specials in detail. She described the homemade soup. She warned about nuts in the desert. She adjusted her signing speed to match the woman's rhythm, careful not to overdo facial expressions or rush transitions. Other diners began watching openly now. The manager whispered to a busboy, "Since when does she know sign language?" But Emily wasn't performing. She wasn't trying to impress. She was simply communicating the way she would with anyone else. Midway through the meal, the older woman signed something longer. Emily listened carefully, then laughed. The sound surprised even her. The son leaned forward. "What did she say?" Emily hesitated shyly. "She said I sign with a slight southern accent." The woman grinned mischievously. Emily laughed again, signing back, "I learned from online videos. Maybe my teacher was from Texas." The son chuckled softly. It had been years since he'd seen his mother joke this freely in public. Usually, restaurant visits meant polite smiles and limited interaction. Waiters spoke to him. Bills were handed to him. His mother became an afterthought in conversations happening around her. But here, she was the center of communication. When dessert arrived, the older woman placed her hand gently over Emily's. Her eyes softened. She signed slowly, deliberately. Most people speak to my son. Not to me. Emily swallowed. A memory of Noah flashed in her mind, sitting silently while her teacher discussed him in third person. She signed back. You deserve to be seen. The son inhaled sharply. Because those words weren't dramatic. They weren't rehearsed. They were simple and true. Snow fell harder outside. The restaurant felt warmer than before. When it came time to pay, the son stood and handed over his card. Emily processed it quietly. Then he paused. He reached into his coat and pulled out a business card. He placed it gently on the table. Thank you, he said sincerely. You made today different. Emily glanced at the card. Daniel Whitmore, founder or CEO. Whitmore Technologies, headquarters, New York City. Her breath caught. She recognized the company name. Everyone did. It was one of the fastest growing tech giants in the country. Her hands trembled slightly, but she didn't treat him differently. She simply smiled. I'm glad she felt comfortable, Emily said softly. Margaret signed one final sentence before leaving. Kindness practiced daily becomes strength. Emily watched them step into the snowy afternoon. The door chimed shut. The diner returned to normal. Marco shouted something about more hash browns. The manager shook his head in disbelief. But Emily returned to wiping tables. Because to her, it wasn't a performance. It wasn't an opportunity. It was just another day of practicing who she had chosen to become. And she had no idea that this quiet habit, built in early mornings no one noticed, had just shifted the direction of her life forever. Snow covered the sidewalks of Seattle like a thick quilt. Cars moved slowly. The air felt sharp and electric. Even the neon sign outside the diner flickered against a backdrop of silver sky. Inside, Emily followed her routine. Subah ke 7 baje sharp. Apron tied, notebook placed, phone open. Her fingers moved gracefully through the air. Opportunity, community, future. She practiced new vocabulary she'd learned the night before. The restaurant was quiet, too quiet for a weekday morning. Snow had scared off most customers. Marco was complaining about delivery delays. The manager was calculating projected losses for the day. Then, headlights flashed across the windows. One car, then another, then 3 black SUVs pulled up outside the diner. The manager straightened instantly. What is this? The door opened. 2 sharply dressed men stepped inside first, scanning the room with polite professionalism. And then, Daniel Whitmore entered. This time, there was no subtlety. No quiet anonymity. He wore a tailored charcoal overcoat, snow dusting his shoulders. Behind him walked Margaret, wrapped in a soft grey scarf, her expression calm but bright. The entire restaurant froze. Emily's heart skipped. She stepped forward, instinctively ready to greet them again, but nerves fluttered through her chest. Daniel didn't head to a booth. Instead, he stopped in the center of the diner. Good morning, he said clearly. The manager rushed forward. Mr. Whitmore, we didn't expect. I know, Daniel replied gently. That's the point. Margaret's eyes found Emily immediately. She smiled and signed. Good morning, my friend. Emily smiled back, signing naturally despite her racing pulse. Good morning. It's even colder today. Margaret chuckled. Daniel turned toward the staff. I'd like everyone's attention for a moment. Even Marco leaned halfway out of the kitchen. Snow continued falling outside, as if the world had paused to listen. Yesterday, Daniel began, my mother experienced something she hasn't felt in a very long time. He looked at Emily. She felt included. Margaret stepped forward and began signing. Daniel voiced her words, but slowly, respectfully. For years, people have been kind, but distant. They speak about me, around me, rarely to me. The room was silent. Yesterday, she spoke to me. Not because she had to, but because she practiced. Daniel nodded. I run a company headquartered in New York City, he continued. We build communication technologies used by millions. The manager swallowed hard. But yesterday, I realized something uncomfortable. He paused. My company talks about accessibility. This young woman lives it. Emily felt heat rush to her cheeks. I didn't do anything special, she said softly. Daniel shook his head. You built a habit when no one was watching. That's rare. One of the suited men stepped forward and handed Daniel a sleek folder. Daniel opened it. Whitmore Technologies is launching a nationwide accessibility expansion initiative. We plan to integrate real-time sign language AI systems into public service industries. The staff exchanged confused glances. Daniel continued, but technology without empathy fails. He turned to Emily. My mother believes that anyone who practices dignity daily should help design the future of it. Margaret stepped closer to Emily. Her hands moved gently but firmly. You didn't treat me as charity. You treated me as equal. Emily's throat tightened. Daniel held out the folder. Emily Carter, we would like to offer you a fully funded scholarship in accessibility communication and human-centered design. Tuition, housing, living expenses, anywhere you choose. The manager gasped audibly. Marco whispered, Madonna mia. Daniel wasn't finished. And upon completion, a guaranteed advisory role within Whitmore Technologies. The words hung in the air like suspended light. Emily stared at the folder but didn't reach for it. I'm just a waitress, she whispered. Margaret immediately signed, a movement strong now. No, you are someone who prepared before opportunity arrived. Daniel added quietly, most people wait for a moment to rise. You rose before the moment came. Snow hit the window harder. Emily thought about her small apartment. Her brother Noah practicing speech therapy exercises. Medical bills stacked on the kitchen table. She had never imagined corporate boardrooms. Never imagined microphones. She had only imagined one thing. That no deaf person should feel invisible. Her habit had never been about success. It had been about protection. About love. Tears shimmered in her eyes. What if I fail? She asked honestly. Daniel smiled slightly. People who build habits don't fail easily. Margaret signed one more sentence slowly, deliberately. Courage grows the same way skill does, practice. Emily finally reached out and took the folder. The moment her fingers touched it, something shifted. Not luck, not magic, alignment. Outside, a small crowd had begun gathering, curious about the motorcade. But inside, something bigger was happening. Daniel extended his hand. Will you help us build something better? Emily inhaled deeply. The shy waitress who once avoided eye contact felt something unfamiliar rising inside her. Confidence, not loud, not flashy. And, yes, she said. Margaret pulled her gently into a hug. The diner erupted into applause. Even Marco wiped his eyes with a flower-covered hand. Daniel turned to the manager. And I'd also like this restaurant to be the first small business in our pilot accessibility program. The manager nearly collapsed from relief and shock. Within weeks, news outlets across the country would tell the story. Within months, the Seen or Heard initiative would launch nationally. But in that exact moment, standing in a snowy diner in Seattle, it wasn't about billions of dollars. It wasn't about headlines. It was about a simple truth. Habits build identity. Identity attracts opportunity. Opportunity reveals purpose. And a shy waitress who practiced kindness before sunrise had just stepped into a future she never dared to imagine.